Hello, loves. Welcome back. Today, I want to talk about the road of love versus fear, the road of fear. I love to think of this concept that we have these two roads that we can choose to live on. And the truth is, we all, bounce back and forth in between the two roads. But, for the first part of my life, the first 30 plus years of my life, I feel like I was primarily living on that road of fear, which is, the road of fear is you can think of it as pretty much anything in life you can split up into two categories. The road of fear would have sickness, the road of love would have health. The road of fear would have being broke and lots of money problems. The road of love would be abundance and prosperity. The road of fear would be relationship issues, broken hearts, lots of, you know, pain when it comes to your relationship. And the road of love would be fun, connection, love, trust, loyalty. You get the idea here. So when I was 24, I started going through a massive transformation in my own life. I was going through a divorce. And at that point, I really started looking at my life on a much deeper level because I had two small children, and I all of a sudden found myself in this situation where I'm getting divorced. And I felt so much guilt, such a massive amount of guilt, because in my mind, at the time, I I was really, really feeling like I was going to completely ruin my children's life. Even though they were very young, I had a newborn and a toddler, but it didn't matter. My idea of divorce was a broken family and, observing people that I had known. I just had that idea and that belief system that any children that were coming from a home that was a divorced home, that they were going to be messed up. I've since realized that's not true, and it really is. There's a lot of factors that go into children having a dysfunctional life, but it didn't necessarily have to be that way. And so I really started looking at things on a much deeper level, and I started questioning, you know, what do I want to teach my children, and what can I do to support them? And so I really started observing all areas of my life, not only my marriage and my family and my belief system and uh, my religion that I had grown up in, but all these different areas. And at that point, I ended up leaving the belief system that I was born and raised in. And so walking out of that at the age of 24 was really scary for me. And so what I started doing at that point was going to other churches, other religions, because I didn't know how else to find that spiritual connection or God, because I thought it was within four walls. That's all I knew. And so as I went to these different religions and went from church to church, and kind of checked him out, tried him on. One thing that was really apparent to me was that each one that I looked into, I felt like there was something within them that was rooted in fear. And I didn't like that, because to me, you can't have love and fear together. They're very different energies. And so I really started to think of this concept of the road of love versus the road of fear. And really started to think about how you can really break up many areas in life, and you can think of them as opposed, one side, the road of love versus the road of fear. So we'll say over here, the road of love has health. Over here, you have sickness. The road of love has abundance and prosperity. Over here on the road of fear would be a lack or money problems, bankruptcy, right? Relationship, your intimate relationship. You can have the road of love would have connection, trust, loyalty. The road of fear would have deceit and pain and sadness. So you really could start to look at things, with just this dichotomy of these two different roads. And as I realized, for the first 30 plus years of my life, I was really comfortable on the road of fear. I had a lot of anxiety, I worried a lot. And so I really want to talk about this concept today and really look at this, when it comes to fear versus love. Because right now, you know, I see that we are going through this massive turning point in humanity. And I know there is a lot of fear, a lot of fear. And so, if you go before, I also want to talk about faith. I've thought many times over the past year, where is the faith? Where's everybody's faith? If you were to go before all of this stuff happened, pre 2020, and you would say to people, hey, do you believe in a divine creator? Many of them would say yes, right? You could take that same person and ask them, do you believe that you are surrounded by divine beings, whether you call that angels or um, spirit protecting you? Do you believe in that? And a lot of people would say that that same person would probably say yes. Then you could take that deeper and say, hey, do you believe that your creator, whether you call that God or divine spirit or universe, do you believe that your divine creator has a plan for you? They would say yes. And then you would say, do you believe that your divine creator ever makes mistakes? And they would say no, right? And that, when it is your time to pass, that would be your time to pass. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying to not have compassion for people that get an illness or have an accident, or something happens to them and they pass on. I'm not saying that, but I'm talking about faith, right? So looking at those same people, there are many people that I know personally that say, that they have this faith in the divine creator. They have this faith, and that they believe that you don't go if it's not your time to go, or they believe in being protected around them. And then I feel like this major, major fear agenda came out, and all the faith was thrown out the window with certain people, not everybody, right? You kind of have these two sides here. But all of a sudden, these people that said that they had this strong foundation of faith, all of a sudden they were very afraid of many, many things, right? So let's kind of dive into this. With this, we've been guided. We've had these many different professionals, and so I'm just gonna be open and honest today, and I want to speak to you with love and with light, but also speak to the elephant in the room that a lot of people aren't wanting to talk about right now. We've had these two sets of professionals. I think that this last year has been really, really hard for people, because when it comes to medical information, it can be very confusing. I had a career in the pharmaceutical world. And so in the pharmaceutical world, that experience, it trained me somewhat to this experience that we've been having over the last year. I don't want to act like I know it all, because I certainly don't. And there are so many healthcare professionals who are really, really smart and a lot smarter than me. So with that being said, I do want to say that that experience for me and my training, I have been able to see, certain pieces of medical information. I've been able to look up side effects and be able to read studies that I couldn't have before because it is confusing and it can be it can be its own language. And so I think that with that aspect, when it comes to health, people have been really at the mercy of the professionals to tell them what to do. Because, when you have this situation of like, oh my gosh, what's happening? I'm scared. This information that is being fed to us from the media, it can be very, very scary. And so what does that leave us with? Well, that leaves us with listening to professionals. And we have clearly seen a divide when it comes to the professionals and their message on this, right? And so we've had these two different sets of doctors. And to me, it's been so obvious to me that these sets of doctors are on two sides. They're either on the road of fear or on the road of love. Okay. I'm going to just say this, and I got a lot of backlash for this because I ended up posting this video it was of these doctors. And to me, they were so beautiful because they were giving people hope. And this is literally what they started their video with, their message with. They said, we are here to give a message of hope to the American people. And to me, I'm ready. I'm listening because I realize that, fear is lies, truth is love. That's it. Okay? So there was one time in my past where, there was something that I listened to and it really shook me up. I was a bit afraid and I called my mama. And my mom said, "Honey," I said, "Mom, I'm afraid. I've been scared for this information that this woman told me." This is years ago, but she said something so profound to me. She said, "Honey, fear is lies. Okay? Truth is love." And I've hung on to that information and that experience that I had with my mom so many years ago. And I've seen that my mom has passed on, and she hasn't been here for this 2020 major drama unfold. But I've often thought, what would my mom say if I were to pick up the phone and call her, and if she were here during this time? And that bit of advice that she gave me years ago has really rung true to me during this whole um, you know situation unfolding. And it really, with these doctors that have come out and given people hope and said, hey, there are things to do, there are ways to treat this, there are um, ways to support your health, don't be afraid. And to me, that has been so beautiful to listen to them. So let's dive into this. There has been this mass fear agenda unfold, People have been afraid of things that you could never imagine they would have been afraid of. I know my daughter came home from college, and I just couldn't wait to wrap my arms around her and give her a big love. And we were talking about how, people are afraid to even hug their children or their grandchildren. They've had this fear agenda and they've bought into it, that they can't even touch or be around. Sometimes people have been months without even seeing these people that they love so, so dearly. And so that has been really, really heartbreaking and sad to see that. But I think that what has happened is they've thought, okay, well, if we can just get to this, because this is what we're being told, just get to this point and just do these things, and then everything will be okay. We can see our family, we can see our friends. And then we're realizing that envelope is being pushed further and further and further. And now it's like, okay, now just do this. And then you can see your friends and your family and have your life back to normal. And at the end of the day, I feel like it's like popcorn, like people are popping to go, wait a minute, I'm seeing further, because what now I'm being asked to do this and this and this and this. And it's the fear has been so hyped up that at some point we have to go, wait a minute. I refuse to live in this world that I have to be afraid to breathe freely. I have to be afraid to go see my friends and my family or spend, time, spend vacations or holidays with my friends and family. I I feel like where is the line? We have to at some point realize that we're not going to buy into the fear. They have done studies, and at the end of the day, if you are in a space of fear, it suppresses your immune system. You're much more susceptible to getting ill or getting sick if you buy into fear, if you're rolling at that vibration of fear, as opposed to love. If you're enjoying delicious food and having human connection and hugs and laughter and joy, most of the time you're not going to get sick very often. And so it's important to look at these different things and really think about things in that aspect. I decided at the very beginning of this that I refuse to live in a world where I'm afraid to go and see my father and hug my elderly father. That's all he wants in his life. That's it. He's not afraid to die. He's almost 90 years old. And when he does pass over, he gets to go see my mama, and he's very, you know, he's going to live his life until it's his time to go. But we've been told that that's selfish to go see, for me to go see my father and to give him a hug. And that's all he wants. He doesn't want to live in a world that his friends and his family, and especially his children, the people that he adores the most, that they're afraid to come see him and refuse to come and be around him. So at the end of the day, we are all creators. And what it is that we are focusing on, what it is that is our story, is coming in, and that is what we are calling in. And so from the beginning of this, I have really tried to tell people, to remind them and stand in front of them and remind them that they are a creator, and that we are going through a mass awakening right now on planet Earth. These things have always been there. These fear agendas have always been there. There's a lot of deceit in our world, with the media, with pharmaceutical companies, with our healthcare system, with our government. And at the end of the day, we have these two choices. We can either, listen to our divine creator and our divine God, or we can listen to the media gods and the pharma gods and these other people that have an agenda behind it. And so I really want to encourage everyone to really see that right now, these our world is being disassembled. So these things that have been put in place to put us in a state of manipulation and fear, those things are breaking down. It's becoming more and more obvious that they are there to control us, or keep us in a state of fear. I've recently been talking to several people over this past year that are going through a faith crisis, and they're recognizing that, a lot of the things that they have been blindly following are maybe not for their highest good. I've recently been talking to someone who, she was raised in a cult and broke out of that cult, and then ended up in a certain religion. I won't say which religion, because that's not cool. But she ended up leaving this cult that she was born and raised in, then went to religion and was in a certain religion. And now with this experience, she's realizing that based on the way that the leaders of her church have handled this situation, um, she's saying, you know what? Maybe I'm following people that I don't want to be following, and they really aren't looking out for my highest good. And it was interesting to me to witness because, in religion, a lot of religions ask you to do these certain things, right? And some make more sense than others. Um, but I don't think that it's ever been something that has been scary for someone. For example, let's say, you know, they have a certain belief that you need to pray at a certain time, right? You need to wake up at a certain time and pray, or that you don't eat, certain meat, or that you don't drink alcohol, or that you pay a certain amount of tithing, right? There's all these different belief systems and these different uh, rules or recommendations from certain church leaders or religious leaders. But I think for the first time in history, I think people are being asked to do something that scares them, such as put something into their body or their children's body that they're not a little, but they're very afraid of, because they fully within their core, they do not believe that it is healthy or that it's safe. And now they're being asked to do that from their church or religious leaders. And so I think that people are standing back and raising an eyebrow to that. So I just want to ask you, are you buying into the fear agenda, or are you choosing love? To me, love looks like, hey, you get to have a choice what to do with your own body. And if you are afraid, my dear, don't do it, because fear is not going to be good for you or for your health or for anybody, right? So, are you choosing common sense? Or are you choosing nonsense? I keep hearing that and I love it because it's so true, right? So choose to live on the road of love, my darlings, because you deserve nothing less. I give you this message with a huge hug and embrace. If you don't agree with me, that's okay. That's okay. I want you to choose love and not fear, because I love you. So if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, like, share it with your friends, your family. We'll get through this. And over time, we are going in the direction of love. And so I look forward to that day. But until then, I plan on holding that space of love as much as I can. I do go into fear for sure, because I'm human. But I try to bounce back on that road of love as fast as I can. So I'll be here holding that space for you if you're in a space of fear. So it's all going to be okay. Much love to you all. Bye for now.